Okay. Now we're live. All right. Dirty Sports 7:39 live on YouTube in 5, 4, 3. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I am your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Los Angeles, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Good morning, Andy.
Morning, man. We got a lot on the plate today.
A lot on the plate.
I'm excited
Plate's
though.
Full. It's a full plate.
This is a buffet plate.
It's a buffet style service. What
do you do when you go to a buffet?
Yeah.
Do you have like a go-to that you're saying, I'm going to start here?
No. I usually do a lap and survey and put together a plan on my surveil. Like a lot of people I know, and Lachlan used to have a joke about it. I think there's a couple other people who had a joke about it. I think he once had drama about this joke, but like the whole like overloading the plate, just like taking all the things. Totally. I mean, I listen, we've all been there, especially as like kids, but like now as a mature buffet adult, especially a guy who goes to a lot of casino buffets as a casino performer, I do a full loop and then I come back and pick where I'm going to start. And I like to do things, in order. Like I like to get a little salad, go to my table, maybe a little salad and maybe a little shrimp cocktail, go to the table, do the starters, then go back and, hit the bigger stuff and go back again.
Interesting.
And, yeah.
So you're, I like the full loop, kind of
and
survey the area.
I'm not going to lie. I'll do two plates. I'll do two plates at once, like, or a plate and a side plate and then do my starters, my entree.
I find that interesting that you're going to treat it like you were sitting down and start with the appetizers.
Oh yeah. Well, because it's like what are we doing here? I'm gonna get like, salad and some slices of pizza and chicken fried steak and like, and then things just get mushy and pushed together. You're eating one thing while another thing just sits there. Like, let me leave it on the heater for as long as it can be on the heater before I start eating it.
I mean,
I'll even go like, no joke, in like 4 or 5 shifts. Like I'll go salad and stuff and like bread and appetizer stuff. I'll go back and get some pasta. Then I'm starting to dip into entrees.
Your process on buffet style eating is more planned out than Major League Baseball on how to handle substance. Like they just decided to do something, and your thought and process of eating food is more articulate than a game that's been around for 100 whatever some years.
Yeah, Rob Manfred's just walking into the buffet, going directly to the entree section and be like, "Pull your pants down. I'm coming in." You're like, "Whoa, fuck, bro. Do you even know what else is here?"
Oh man.
He's just going straight to the dessert cart. Take off your fucking hat. I mean, this past couple days is ridiculous. And then, the worst thing about the baseball substance checks, I guess is what we're calling them, foreign substance checkpoints. Rob Manfred defends it 2 days in.
Oh my God.
I think it's going great so far. You think it's going great? You had a manager ejected from a game for trying to fight the other team's starting pitcher over it. You have at least 3 major league pitchers derobing in anger in the middle of a field. You have the guy in the Mets last night who has his first big league start. Can you imagine working your entire life to have your first big league start, fighting, struggling, pushing you get on a plane, you get on a fucking plane from Syracuse, New York to New York City, the capital of the world, and you fucking make your first big league start and you're coming off the mound to a standing ovation from one of the best fan bases in baseball, and the umpires are like, hey, can I take a fucking look at your hat? Middle of your standing ovation, the entire crowd is booing the umpires. What a fucking joke.
I think baseball is at that point on par with what's going on in our society, where I always say, is this parody or is this reality? And that's what we've entered with baseball, right? Is this Onion headline is this an Onion headline or is this real news? Well, and but that's what I'm saying. Like, think about this. I'm going to the game tonight, right? I'm going to the Reds Braves game tonight, and I'm taking a couple young kids, my nephew and niece, and they haven't seen much baseball at all. I'm already planning ahead, Joe, what I'm going to say to them when in the middle of the game there is this TSA / DUI checkpoint. What am I saying to them? Why is that pitcher? Why are they going into his pants? Why is he taking off his hat in the middle of a game? This is lunacy, what we're dealing with.
But you talk about the blending of parody and reality. We talked about this the other day, and it's been happening for a while now. Shout out to legendary former guest of our show, director David Zucker, who, I mean, look at where sports is at with advertising now. I mean, the opening of basketball is literally just about the over advertising of sports. We've been in that reality for 10 to 15 years now. Now we have the Naked Gun scene where they are fucking frisking the pitcher. This is happening.
That's a great point.
Sergio Romo took his pants off. He stripped his belt down. He literally got halfway naked. I was like, what are you guys talking about? What is this?
Naked Gun came out in 1988. It was 33 years ago. And here we are doing these strip searches with pitchers. And the delusion of Rob Manfred is just bonkers. Like you said, I'm going to read verbatim what he said for an interview with The Athletic. When asked directly, how do you think the foreign substance crackdown is going? His immediate response was, my view is the first 2 days have gone very well. What planet does he live on? It's wild. Like, what planet, dude, what planet do you live on?
This is where we are at with so many things right now. It used to be like, you can't lie about things. You can't you can't ignore the obvious. You can't whatever. And it's like, we've now been in this place for like the better part of 10 years where people just go up and just deny reality. And I mean, listen, we're a year removed from our president being like, COVID's not a thing. It's not real. Have you thought about putting your light switch on it, putting a light bulb in your body? It's not real. Then he got it. Like, we are at the point now where it's like, what is happening in baseball for the last 2 days has been an embarrassment. And he literally, and he must have PR people who are just going, just say it's going great. He's like, it's going great. Loving it. Loving all the checks, making sure everybody's clean. There's people like, this is talking point social media now, where, people are arguing about how sports are doing, the ratings. It's like, whatever happens, don't ever change. Pick an opinion and just stick with it and just be like, nope, that's not true. Remember when you got caught in a lie, your life was over if you're a political or public figure or a famous person? You got caught in a lie. That's it. Well, that person's a liar. Now people just straight up lie about things. Rob Manfred's just like, it's going great. It's not going great. It is an abomination. The entire internet is talking about how this is a joke.
Yeah. And there's zero accountability. That's my problem. That's the through line in all this. There's zero accountability of just saying, yeah, I fucked up. I was wrong. This isn't going great. We have a lot of things that we need to tweak and work on. To me, the equivalent of what's happening and the showmanship with the umps and now the managers and the pitchers, it's WWE to me. We've entered this world of like WWE theatrics with reality TV. The pitchers are obviously being they're exaggerating their actions, understandably, because they're trying to show up this stupid policy and the umps and Rob Manfred. So you combine all those things, and you're watching a circus. You've been to the circus, right? Yes. Back as a kid. I remember going to the circus, Barnum and Bailey, RIP, right? They'd come to town once a year. You go with your parents. This is what it is. You're watching a circus on display when it should be a baseball game. Like what this is the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, it's awful. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. We need to like cut the head off of this fucking the snake that is baseball commissioners. We need to sever the lineage of terribleness. Like, why are we just like deeming a fresh commissioner like they're the king of England? Let's have this is America. Let's have a fucking democracy. Let's hoist up people who can fucking save this sport, because baseball has plenty of problems in terms of drawing a modern day audience. And now you're just everything you do makes it harder and worse.
Well, as much as I want to put most of the blame, and I do, on the commissioner, you have to put some on the union. You have to put some on the player. Like, you guys are allowing this shit to happen. Just say, fuck you. No.
What are we striking mid-baseball season?
You could.
Baseball strikes. How's that work? People are hanging by a thread. Baseball is hanging by a thread. If baseball walks away, like, there's not that many people who care.
Look, man, I think
we played a 60-game regular season last year.
I agree. I'm still in favor, though. If they come out to check Max Scherzer and he says no and just walks right past, like I'm just trying to play some situations out. If any of these pitchers just say no and just walk straight to the dugout, so he gets ejected. So then you have, to me, even more of a situation that's probably going to get fixed sooner than later. If you have a star pitcher saying, I'm not doing this, I refuse to do this.
But why is this even a thing that's happening on the field in front of people? Why don't, like, this is the same thing as we're going, and I know we're going to talk about instant replay, but it's like, why are the same guys in charge? Why don't you just add two fucking guys? Why don't you just add like a one single baseball, like Major League Baseball appointed fucking checker to every ballpark? It's a local hire. That guy checks Scherzer when he goes out to the mound, and that guy checks Scherzer when he comes back into the dugout, and you never fucking see it. And it's just happening in the clubhouse. Guy shows up, little fucking vest, his glasses on, his thing. Sorry, Max, I had to do this, Max, I'm sorry. I love you. You're great. I signed up for this job just so I could meet you. But I'm gonna have to look at your glove and your hat. And then fucking, why are we having the most incompetent people on planet Earth? The most vilified group of people in professional sports. Major League Baseball umpires. By the way, we're adding jobs to the major. We should be taking away jobs because they can't figure out balls and strikes.
Yeah. I know. The last thing they need is added responsibilities.
And they're the worst group of people ever.
So you already have a contentious relationship, as we know, like you're saying, between the umps and the pitchers. And now
because one of us just keeps getting better at our job and the other one just keeps getting worse.
And now you're adding to that. You're only going to add that friction between those two people by having them check. I agree. You need to have an independent party. But the common thing I see in a lot of these leagues, Joe, and you tapped on instant replay, we can get to that, is like they're just run so inefficiently, a lot of them, as far as the dynamic, it's like a lot of the government bureaucracy. I would find an equivalent of, why can't we just get this shit done? Why does everything have to be such a elaborate process? I tweeted that out when you're watching, and let's go into the NBA playoffs, right? When you're watching the last 33 minutes of that Suns Clippers game, which 90 seconds took 33 minutes of real life time.
It was insane.
It's embarrassing. And it sucks because that was such a great game. That was such a back and forth game and an entertaining game. But it's like I tweeted out, there's no one. I don't know where their head office is, if it's New York or wherever it is, New Jersey, who's checking the real game film. How does the NBA not have a room? And I think they do, right? But a room of 3 or 4 people that is watching every single little play, so that they know basically instantly the right call to make. So when the refs go over to the scorer's table, they can say within 90 seconds, it's Suns ball, it's Clippers ball, that was a foul. Why are these things such a goddamn long process?
Because as I've complained about before, because there's all these layers in place, like the call on the fucking field matters. Like, what? I stand by that as number one point with you. Why does that matter? If you're not sure, and in the last 2 minutes of the basketball game, the coaches can't protest. So that's all in the last 2 minutes of the basketball game. That's all refs saying, we might have gotten it wrong. We're going to check. You're already yourselves admitting you might have gotten it wrong.
Yeah.
So if you're admitting that, just to start the process, that you may have gotten it wrong, why are we pretending that your call that you already admit you may have gotten wrong on the field matters?
Sure.
And then there's the whole thing of, like, the end of that Suns game. How about the fact that that ball gets knocked out of bounds? Like, that's ludicrous. Now we're just changing the rules of basketball. In the history of the game, in the history of every sport, Devin Booker's just dribbling. Unless somebody knocks that ball out, it's not going out of bounds. He didn't, after the ball was knocked out, he didn't try to corral it and put his hands on it again.
Yeah.
The idea that you are shoving a ball out of bounds, but that, like, technically his hands on it after you shoved it is so fucking stupid.
It's embarrassing.
It's fucking dumb.
Well, it's just embarrassing. And again, it was such a great game, and you had some great plays. And I just hate as just a fan of sports.
But also, you got to remember, Andy, that all that shit during every one of those, they went to commercial. Follow the money. The last 90 seconds took 33 minutes.
That's what I've said. I've said that all along. I've said that since day one, especially with the NFL, is follow the money. The amount of commercials and the amount of advertising revenue they're making. It just sucks for that game had such a good flow to it. Don't you think? And it was so back and forth, and you had so many guys stepping up. And it wasn't even really the star players that game, but you had so many guys making clutch plays. And then it just puts a sour note on the end. Now, obviously, phenomenal play to end the game. That alley-oop.
The valley-oop.
Dude, that was one of the best called plays, executed plays that I've ever seen in a playoff game, let alone a conference finals.
Yeah, it was insane. And I've seen that play a few times, through the years, the last second alley-oop. And I actually said exactly, because I remember that from the Tyson Chandler play. I remember that, David Lee had like a 0.2 tip in. There's a bunch of these where there's no goaltending. And I was like, yeah, when you have a DeAndre Ayton type, just literally shoot a shot. And hope he can put it in. And I mean, the angle that was thrown at, and I mean, everything had to come together. If DeMarcus Cousins is standing between the ball and the basket, that play essentially never happens.
Yeah.
But he's guarding it straight up. It was like, it's wild. Like the amount of things that had to come together for that to be pulled off.
And you know what else? And Van Gundy made a great point about this. Because of the review, the Suns didn't have any timeouts. They got a free timeout.
Right.
So Monty Williams gets to orchestrate this play.
And even if you have that play in the bag, you need to go through it, because the greatness of that play was setting it up so that Booker's setting the pick, because if they don't try to stay on Booker, then he can sneak out and get a quick jump shot. Like if they go, oh, this guy's making a basket run, just everybody run with him, you're going to get Booker at a mid-range shot, like a quick catch and shoot. So yeah, just the personnel that it took. Absolutely.
And that's a great point about the Booker pick. I don't think enough people are talking about it. Booker, obviously we know him for his scoring, but that's a guy who he's doing it all right now. That pick, he set a great pick on that play. He was playing with, I think he had a broken nose, right? His nose was all jacked up. Man, this team's fun to watch.
Yeah.
What did that girl do to these guys? I mean, they've won 9 in a row now.
I mean, it was also that. I mean, that's
you should follow
how
this.
long ago that was.
You should see this girl's Twitter, by the way.
She's just basically taking responsibility for the entire thing, right?
Bro, it's straight porn. This is what I don't understand about Twitter. They will suspend you if you question someone's pronouns, but literally this girl, I don't understand it. Prina, she's literally having sex with men on her Twitter feed. Full intercourse. And Twitter's like, yeah, it's cool. She's the Suns girl who had sex with the entire team. Which I forgot to bring this up the last couple episodes. I'm going to pull it up now. I won't mention his name, but we have it's a small world, as we know. And I think we've learned this from doing the show. We have a dirtball who went to high school with her.
That's amazing.
Let me pull up his message. I know he sent it to me in the sometime in the last week, but yeah, we have a dirtball who attended the same high school.
Which was where?
Okay, I asked him. I'm not going to say his name. I'll protect your, you didn't ask for it. So
what? He asked you to not say his name?
No, but do you want me to give him a shout out? I mean, I don't know if he wants that. I mean,
well, he just went to high school with her. Like, what did he do wrong?
He didn't do anything wrong.
I mean, I'm not saying, listen, if he said, don't say my name, that's one thing, but like.
Well, shout out to Chase. He's a good dirtball. And Chase sent me this message 10 days ago. Hey, Andy, I wanted to say the nut girl went to my middle school. That's it. In California for 1 year. And she was definitely Mormon. Remember, I was assuming she was Mormon. I thought I read that. I guess I was correct. Yeah. I had 7th grade math with her and was shocked when that story came out. And I said, what part of California? He said, a little suburb outside of Sacramento toward Lake Tahoe. It's called El Dorado Hills.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he went to 7th grade with her, had math class with her.
I was going to say, I don't know about high school. She doesn't seem like she made it through a lot of high school.
Yeah, she is she's just owning it at this point. I mean, I just clicked on her profile. I mean, dear God, her pin tweet is having sex with a guy on a balcony. This is unbelievable. Well, like, what is the rule for Twitter?
I have no idea. I've never known that this is from day one. Twitter is like, is there's, you come across it like, and what's funny is I never see it, but then somebody will, be like, oh, yo, like I went, like, for example, when we did Eddie's show and I first met Bonnie Rotten, she was like, follow me on Twitter. I went to her Twitter. I'm like, Jesus, this is allowed on Twitter? But like, you never see it. It kind of like stays hidden from you unless you find the person's account.
Bro, her Twitter is wild. It's It's at AJ Titties, TIDDYZ. What is that? I gotta ask what this tweet means. Do you know what this means? Condom sex smells like AIDS. ISTG. What's STG?
I have no idea.
Also, like, honey, you should be wearing condoms. Like, I don't. You're having sex with a lot of dudes. Like that's kind of a crazy tweet. Condom sex tastes like AIDS. Okay, I gotta get off. I gotta get off this feed. I'm closing this out. This is gonna distract me. This is unbelievable. Like, where you at on this one, Jack? I don't. By the way, I don't care. I'm not for censorship. For the record, I'm for zero censorship. I think you should be able to post anything you want. I'm for that. Most jacked up stuff, let people post it. But we kind of have to need an explanation. You know, I don't know. But Phoenix, Joe, if they can win with Devin Booker having an off game and no Chris Paul, I think that is a good sign. Well, DeAndre Ayton is just obviously they've had a lot of guys step up, Payne and Ayton, and but Ayton's really turning out to be a good draft pick, man. I think he just took a minute.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, it's tough to be a big guy on a shitty team. That's the bottom line. It's easy to, I mean, look at Trae Young right now. It's like it's easy to be on a shitty team and be a guard and still get yours and be like, look at me, I'm good. If we were a good team, I'd be good. It's tough to be a big man. You can't bring the ball up yourself, you know. So listen, the bottom line with all these guys is how old they are. You know, people like the idea of being a bust. You know, if you're under 25, is essentially ludicrous. So listen, like it's crazy because, you know, the top of that draft, I mean, are leading the East and West finals right now. And the Luka pick was the one that were like, that's the sure thing. Luka out and maybe running guys out of town. And the guys that they were like, how do you not take Luka over this guy? Like, how do you trade your pick and go Trae Young? How do you go Ayton over Luka? It's like, well, here we are.
Yeah. So that draft was just, I'll do real quick, the top 10 in order. DeAndre Ayton, Marvin Bagley, Luka, Jaren Jackson, Trae Young, Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter, Colin Sexton, Kevin Knox, and Mikal Bridges.
I mean, Bagley's definitely gonna, you know, Bagley was the question mark even there the whole time. But I guess, you know, obviously it's still too early to call anybody a bust, but the Kings are a disastrous team.
Yeah, man, it is crazy. Just the young guys who have really just taken the league over. I mean, what Trae Young is doing for his first playoffs. He's undefeated now in game ones. His first conference finals. I had no clue he would be this good. I wasn't sold on him at all, but he is phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, they have a very modern NBA offense, and they have a guy who's perfect for running it, which is like you see at the end of that game, you're running the pick and roll at the top. If a guy's range is 30 feet, like it's essentially impossible, especially a guy can get the ball off that quick. It's essentially impossible to stop him from shooting. Now, then it becomes a question of, is he making his shots? He's a very streaky shooter. But the one thing about Trae Young, he definitely isn't going to get, you know, he's going to get put off shooting because he misses a couple. He's not losing confidence. He could miss 1,000 shots in a row. He's not losing confidence. And you like that. You love that in a guy. So, you know, you can push him in one direction You can try to fight through and bother him, but essentially with range that deep and a release that quick, you can't stop him from shooting. And when you overcompensate and desperately try to stop him from shooting, then he's going to work everybody else in. Or if you see like at the end of that game when Collins was out on the deep pick and roll and he wasn't even setting picks for him because they were so worried about getting caught behind a picks that they were jumping to the other side. It doesn't help you. Now you're just kind of playing into it. So I actually think that, the strategy, and the Bucks are going to have to figure this out really quick, is like, you've got to go with that. Let him get his attitude. This, like, we're going to be so aggressive that we try to stop Trae Young isn't going to help you because he can just go further away. He's just he makes it like he's going to go through this pick and roll, but he's not. I mean, there was one play late in that game where, what's his name? Why am I blanking on the guard, the guy that was guarding him for most of the game? Was like jumping picks before they were even being set. He was going over and under picks before
Tucker?
There was a body on him. What's that? No. The point guard.
Chris Middleton? Oh no. Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday was like over aggressively running through picks. Like bodies weren't being put on him yet. So he wasn't like fighting through. He was like jumping to one side of the other. And now you're like, now Trey's like, oh, well, I'm not even going to go that way. It's like it's like the old schoolyard play where you like point left, like you're going to get it, like you want to pick there and then immediately go right. It's like Drew Holiday, you're an elite guard defender and you're like jumping picks before they're being set. It's like he's got you completely out of sorts. I think that the best strategy is you need to be like, listen, we've got to play it more calm as opposed to aggressive, and just in essence, like keep him in front of you, make him make a ton of long shots, let him get his. If he wants to score 50 all from 5 feet behind the arc, well, what are we supposed to do? There's nothing how do we beat that?
I just think Budenholzer, I just don't think he's a good coach. I just don't think he's making adjustments. I don't think he's managing the team correctly.
Well, I agree.
You look at the guy again. I mean, looks aren't everything. This guy
Gubbins.
Yeah, what's this guy doing? What the hell are you doing? And the TNT, I know Charles in particular has been very critical of that. Like, what are these adjustments? I would do this and I would do that. I mean, what? That's not a game you lose, man. That's just not a game you lose.
Well,
isn't that?
Yeah.
Because, and they keep doing this, and it's going to catch up to, like right now. This that changed the entire series. Everything from losing that first game to anyone's. I mean, I'm not saying that it wasn't anyone's series before, but the Bucks were overwhelmingly the favorite Vegas odds to win that series. Now everything has shifted because you just lost home court advantage and you've given more confidence to a young team. And these guys play as a team, man. They really do. And they've got house money. They keep winning. They got nothing to lose. They weren't supposed to be this far. And it shows. And they obviously Trae Young's the star, but all those guys contribute. All those guys make clutch shots. They got a great young nucleus. And here we are again. Bucks have put themselves in a hole. So does this change?
Like the Bucks in this series. I think it's Bucks Suns, but it's wild when you think that this is the Final Four. That every option for the finals is absurd.
Yeah, it's nuts. It really is. Well, Chris Paul will be back next game.
And Kawhi won't. I mean, I think the Suns win.
No, I'm sorry. Chris Paul will be back game 3.
Right. And Kawhi will not. So it's like, man, it's just getting tougher for the Clippers.
Yeah, no, wait. So it's 2-0. Yeah, sorry. I'm losing my mind too.
Yeah.
So he will be back next game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be tough for the Clippers. I mean, they've come down from 2-0-2 holes, but I like the Suns. And imagine a Suns Hawks finals. That's what the NBA wants the least, for sure. I'm going to be in Milwaukee. If the Bucks are there, I will be in Milwaukee. Going to go visit Guy on Couch. He's got a place. He said he's about 1.5 miles from Fiserv Arena. Now
You'll
they wouldn't
there, what, during the NBA finals.
Yeah, they would not have a home game. I'm going to catch some Reds Brewers, but I'm excited because that'll be fun. And I've never been to Milwaukee. And one of the things I'm going to have to do, Joe, as you know,
I don't know what your timing is, but it seems like, why don't you just stay long enough to go to a finals game if it's happening?
Well, I'm going for the Reds Brewers series.
Right.
So it wouldn't be, it would be slated, looking at the schedule, it would be, I think, the first couple games of the finals. And again, they wouldn't, in any scenario, they would not have a home game because both the Suns and the Clippers had better records in the regular season. So, but what I definitely plan on doing is taking a visit to the Miller Brewer Company, right? Go.
You gonna go on a tour?
I have to, right?
I think you absolutely have to. I'm wearing my Miller Lite tie-dye shirt right now. I get so many compliments on this shirt. What a great shirt. What a great company. What a great American institution.
Well, that's another reason I want to go is I've never been, and I know, they've been great with us and we've enjoyed our partnership with them. And, Guy on Couch told me, he said, dude, everyone's drinking Miller Lights around. He said the vibe is great by the lake. Everybody gets together, friends, they watch. What's that area called where they view the games outside? Isn't there an area in Milwaukee?
I have no idea. I've never been to Milwaukee.
But there's an area where they're all gathering to watch the Buck games. And I'm excited. I'm excited to check out a new city. And I know the Miller Lights will be flowing that weekend and everybody will be enjoying some nice summer in Milwaukee. And everybody listening, you guys should do this too. You should get together with friends, family, have some grill outs, and get yourself some Miller Lite. It's been a light beer with great taste since 1975. Such an easy choice. So next time you're getting beer with friends, make it Miller time. Luckily, you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer, or go to MillerLite.com/dirty sports to find delivery options near you. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
We got another, I forget, I'm going to pull up whose name it was. We got a message yesterday from Tyler Kemmerer, first time at Comerica with the official beer of Fix Your Life and Dirty Sports. And I got to say, I was thinking about it after I received that. I was like, replied to him and whatever, and then was walking around my apartment. I was like, you know what? As far as my legacy goes, just knowing that we've inspired people to go out to ballparks, to go out on lakes, to go out on golf courses, to go out on boats, to do whatever. Just take a moment to enjoy the fact that they're drinking a Miller Lite. Take a picture of it, send it to us. Like, it's good. It's a good thing. There's, you look back on a lot of things, like inspiring, the young adults of America to embrace how fantastic Miller Lite is. It's a good legacy. I'm not going to lie.
About legacy.
It's not a lot. It's not like doing a lot, but like, I think how this continues to like grow, and like, I think that this is just like the spark that'll lead to a lot of great things from our younger generation. Just them appreciating the golden Pilsner, appreciating life, taking a moment to say, hey, look at this. It's all this stuff that's going on in the world, but here I am at a ballpark with a Miller Lite. It's pretty good. It's about legacy, yo.
It's about legacy, yo.
Oh, wow.
That's what I said.
Yeah. Thank you, Kellen Winslow Jr. Enjoy prison. I sometimes forget he was on our show. I sometimes forget. Somebody asked me yesterday, "Oh, who are some of the athletes you've had on your show?" And literally, he didn't even come to mind. Like,
yeah,
it's like I've almost canceled him in my mind that we had a multiple time convicted rapist as a guest.
What's a worst post DS like what worst post DS crime? Kellen Winslow turning into a serial rapist of the elderly and the homeless, or Brian Scalabrine telling us 11 times on the episode that he's going to give us slides and then ghosting us. Dude, we didn't even ask you for fucking Mamba slides, but you kept saying that you're going to.
Scal.
He just kept bringing it up. He was like pushing his stuff on us. He's like, bro, I got to get you guys some of these, some of these, some of these, and then just disappeared.
Not only that, he was going to host a comedy event show with us in Boston.
Oh, yeah.
He was talking it up.
I mean, the classic. We got White Mamba.
Oh, yeah. Still love him, though. But you're right. That's a great callback. The slides. I totally forgot about the slides. I got to get you guys some of these slides.
I was like, I didn't even ask for these slides. He's like, no. Dude, you get them. Like, after the show, he's like measuring my feet. Yeah, probably like a 13.
Dude, we had like a 4-hour-long conversation with him.
I know.
Like we had
like, yo, great episode. Thanks for doing it. Nothing. Full ghost. He blocked our numbers the second he walked out.
We literally had 2 hours off air with Scalabrine.
I'm just saying, like that's sociopathic behavior on the level of raping the elderly.
I'm not gonna go that far, but hey,
just being like so whatever, and then just being like the second he walks out, calling his assistant, being like, "Don't ever let those guys ever get in touch with me." We're like, what? You're so nice.
The thing about he was so nice. He was great. The thing about Kellen Winslow Jr., I think he was doing all that stuff. You know, he was
while we were doing
and also way before.
Yeah. So that's crazy that he had to like mix us into his schedule.
God,
he's like, I'm gonna have to do it in the early afternoon, guys, before it gets dark. It gets pretty busy when it gets dark around here. Teenagers start hitchhiking.
I shouldn't laugh, but I am. Okay. I have an update on what STG means.
Okay.
Thanks to the comment section in YouTube. Swear to God.
Are we okay?
I mean, it goes back to Lachlan's joke. Guys, can we just write stuff out? Like, I'm sorry. I'm going to be the old head. I'll just do it real quick. I'm going to be the old head.
Like some things like acronyms are fine, but like, do we need a swear to God acronym? What is the purpose of that? Is it for people who don't want to like swear to God? Like, is that like her Mormonism coming through? She's like, I could never type swear to God, but I can type STG. Like, do we need an acronym for it?
That'd be
like,
funny.
We're not walking around all day being like the National Basketball Association. Last night we watched the National Basketball Association. Time to transition to the National Basketball Association. No, acronyms are worth having.
Yeah.
But STG, did anybody need that?
And it's just too close to STD. It's too close.
It's also too close to STP, you know? Like, I was like, Stone Temple Pilots? Is that what she's talking about?
By the way, that would be really funny if she didn't want to offend God. And then the next post is her like deep throating a Jamaican dude.
I mean, I'm not, yeah.
Wild. Like, I don't know.
I'm spinning SpongeBob over here.
But I do agree.
I guess
I agree on the acronym. Like.
Guess if your weird God exists,
Zillennials. What are they called? What's after millennials?
Yeah, Gen Z, Zoomers.
Like, you guys got to get it under control. I don't know what age group that is anymore. But you guys got to get it under control with this. Just write shit out. I would be curious to see. I bet kids are the worst writers nowadays. I would love. Part of me is like, become a high school English teacher just so you can eviscerate these kids with red ink. You're like, what are you? Did you just put STG in a 5-paragraph composition essay? No. F. That'd be a funny sketch. The teacher who comes in and he's like the enforcer. Anyway, I'm going off in my head. Let's finish some NBA stuff real quick and then we'll move on. Okay. So 2 new hirings, Joe. Rick Carlisle was hired today by the Pacers. He goes back to his first job there. And am I going to pronounce this wrong? Yes. Ime Udoka? How's it pronounced?
Sure. I don't know the answer.
Ime Udoka has been Udoka. I don't fucking know. He has been hired by the Celtics. And as we know from Jay Williams, he's the first black coach in Boston Celtics history.
Meanwhile, Jason Williams, who murdered his driver, is like, whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't tweet that shit. I don't want to be known as the guy who forgot the 6 black coaches for the Celtics.
Dude,
leave me alone. I'm just the guy who shot my driver.
This is what I do want to talk about.
Meanwhile, White Chocolate's like, bro, I'm not either of these people.
White Chocolate. He was fun to watch. Dude, this is an all-time Twitter move. I do want to discuss this. I don't care about the sports stuff. Cool. Like, these are some new hirings, whatever. We have to discuss that Jay Williams tweeted out after the hiring. Again, Boston has had the most black head coaches in NBA history. He tweeted out, he quote tweeted Woj yesterday and said, the first head coach of color for the Celtics, and even more importantly, he is one talented individual who has paid his dues. Deletes the tweet after he just gets roasted on Twitter.
I mean, they've had 6 black head coaches.
6. Like I said, the most in NBA history. They just had Doc Rivers not even long ago. He follows it up. This is an all-time move. Dude, this goes back to what you said earlier about
just refusing to admit you're wrong.
Dude, this isn't all like I'll be honest. All my years on Twitter, I've never seen such a cocky and like just an unwillingness to admit you're wrong. This dude's got the balls to say, as it relates to the Boston Celtics tweet that came from my account a couple hours ago, I did not post that, and my passcode has now been changed. Bro, no one hacked your account to tweet out wrong information about the history of Boston Celtics black head coaches. No one hacked you. Yeah. You know what's crazy about this? This says a lot. Dude, Jay Williams is a sociopath. And, you know, I used to really like him. I don't think I can like him anymore. I don't think I can. Dude, the play, you know what the play there is? This is what the play is. The play there is you literally post the screenshot of your wrong tweet and then just do something like, man, I was way off. Facepalm emoji. Own it. You look like a giant clown right now.
Yeah, it's ludicrous. And I mean, it's just such a cop out too. Just or you know what else you could just do? Just delete it and never mention it ever again.
Well, he did, but the fact that he followed it up with the tweet.
But that's my point. Is just delete it. Pretend you never see the mentions. Ignore it. Just ignore it. You fucked up. Ignore it. It wouldn't have been a story except you followed up with like, oh, you were hacked.
Clearly, look, 2 things happened. Either he wrote it, which I think there's a good chance he didn't.
Who's running? Jay Williams doesn't have somebody running his social media and writing tweets for him.
You don't think there's some intern at ESPN?
No.
Really?
Dude, ESPN has fired everybody. You think they've got to get rid of Kenny Mayne for money, but every single personality has somebody who's in charge of their Twitter?
Okay, it's a fair point. That's a fair point.
I think ESPN is the lowest paid analysts that they can hire these days, and 3 guys doing like one-man band shit, running everything.
So you think Jay Williams definitely wrote it?
Yeah, I think Jay Williams definitely wrote it.
What if former ESPN employee Paul Pierce was getting back the guy who took over for all the NBA stuff. About that conspiracy, huh? Well, Paul Pierce had access to Jay Williams' account.
Paul Pierce shit himself in public and then took a wheelchair. Like he's not fucking Ethan Hunt.
But I will have to say, in the history of Twitter, the backtracking, this or lack of,
just delete it and take your L.
Yeah.
And just never, ever, ever reference it.
Yeah. I like to own it. I like to just do the quote, don't delete it. Like, man, I was way off or I was wrong. You know, I mean, we should pull up clips of what I was saying about Trae Young. I could not have been more wrong. I remember distinctly doing an episode with Tug around March Madness, being like, oh, this guy's great, but he's not going to have a career in the NBA. Like, he'll be like an average player. Way off. Okay, last NBA news, Alex Caruso.
Wait, are we? I know you did the hires. You don't. The Carlisle hire, not interesting, not worth talking about.
I mean, I don't have enough to say on it. What do you think?
I think he's getting a lot of people are kind of questioning. There's a lot of jobs open. I think a lot of people are questioning that you're jumping at an Indiana job when there's, and I actually think I love the move for Indiana. I love the move for Carlisle. He stays under the radar, same as he was. He has a chance to build a team from nothing. It's a great situation to be in for him. Like, with these coaches, he has a ring. Like, what's his goal? You know what I mean? Like, rings are not something you like come by very easily. I think that there's just as much of a chance that he wins a ring eventually with the Pacers as he does eventually with the Mavs, as eventually he does with the Celtics. Like, I don't necessarily think, let me look at the NBA the conference finals right now are Hawks, Bucks, Suns, Clippers. Unless his plan is to, go to the Lakers and up, like steal Frank Vogel's job and draw Luka in there to win a championship next year. Like, I love it. It's long-term stability because they can trust him and they can trust him to build a team from the ground up. I actually love this hire for everybody involved. And I'm a Rick Carlisle fan. So good for Rick Carlisle. I hate the Pacers, but good for him and good for them.
Yeah. What about the hire with the Celtics?
Well, that's fine. I mean, obviously Brad Stevens has, he's trying to put his stamp on something. I thought for sure that was the Carlisle spot. So when they went, when they didn't go Carlisle, then sure, whatever, I don't know anything about, the third guy on the Brooklyn bench, but like, I'm sure Brad Stevens does.
Yeah.
And, he's trying to put his stamp on it, and that's fine. And yeah, I don't like, sure. Great. Good for them. I think the interesting spots that are left and, people are saying is like, oh, what happens in Dallas? Obviously Carlisle's not going back to Dallas, but you have the Luka situation. And then you have the Portland gig, which is, the Dame Lillard, essentially whoever's going to coach Dame Lillard. And, I was saying yesterday, I could see the Becky Hammond Mavs hire because they had so much terrible female PR lately. And then also, obviously, there's this quant behind the scenes that's running everything. So they can bring Becky Hammond in on a PR tip and have her be the Dave Roberts, where some quant is really calling all the shots and she's just kind of the, figurehead. So that solves a lot of problems. And then, of course, I'm looking for a book to take my bet right now, just in case it happens. I want to bet Dame Lillard MVP as soon as I possibly can, because those odds are going to fall in half if they hire D'Antoni to be the fucking, the Lillard D'Antoni pairing would be, you think, does he immediately become like 1-2 MVP favorite?
I don't know how that stuff works. It would increase for sure.
Yeah.
Who do you have at MVP? Nash, Harden,
and obviously responsible for Linsanity, which is essentially the equivalent of turning Jeremy Lin into the MVP, turning a guy who never played a minute in the NBA into, somebody who has 4 documentaries made about his 15-game stretch.
Yeah. Well, it's like everything. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. So I tried to allude to this earlier. Alex Caruso has been popped for marijuana.
Unbelievable. I honestly, I was truly, truly surprised when I saw it. I was like, I can't believe there's states that are still arrest people for marijuana. I can't believe it. I can't believe it's a thing. I was shocked. And it was like, I know it's Texas, but still, we're arresting people for it.
Yeah. So he had marijuana and drug paraphernalia. So he tried to go through.
So a bowl.
Yeah. So he went to Texas A&M in College Station. So
and then was successful enough in life to be a member of the Los Angeles Lakers. Bro, you don't have to go back to Texas. You won. You got out.
So TSA, he brought it through TSA.
Right.
And they found a herb grinder which had weed in it. I agree. So like, obviously
maybe he's an anxious flyer.
I think I've
made find a sleep mask. Oh no.
I've made my
found a neck pillow.
Oh. Stance on, like, this is kind of, we alluded to it earlier with bureaucracy and why things take forever. It's stupid. The fact that we don't have cannabis legalized federally, enough states already have it.
Or decriminalized, just give the guy a fine, be like, hey man, we don't do that here. It's Texas. But I got to say, and I tweeted it when it happened. Like, but the utter joy I get. And honestly, it's been great in comedy so far. I mean, things are just opening up, but you do feel it. But the utter joy I get that of the comedian population specifically, many of them ran away from the government that was just too much government, the oppressive.
I disagree.
The oppressive California government.
It wasn't just that, Joe.
They ran away.
No, people leave California.
They're getting popped for weed in fucking Texas.
Yeah, I agree. That's really stupid. And look, there's going to be pros and cons of every state. But I think people leave for a variety of reasons, whatever state they live in. I don't think when anybody leaves any state in particular, I don't think it's.
I need to get somewhere where they're not forcing these damn masks on me. It's like, well,
I don't
have your mask on, but definitely
I don't think that's why
a joint with that mask down.
I don't think that's why a lot of comics left. I think a lot of them left because they found a cheaper place to live.
I think a lot of them left because Joe Rogan told them to.
He obviously has a huge influence, and obviously one of the main reasons he left was for taxes. I don't know how often he said it, but I assume that's one of the reasons. Look, I think there's a lot of reasons why people leave. There's a pros and cons to everything. I was thinking about this the other day. Like, obviously that's the thing I miss most about California. The two things I miss most about California are the weather. There's not a better place in the country weather-wise. Like, I'll argue anybody that. I mean, you can almost argue world. I don't know. I haven't traveled enough, but so the weather in Southern California is absolutely pristine. And marijuana, I agree, is one of them. Like, I was just telling
women, weed and weather.
Yeah. I was just telling somebody about that the other day. I was like, I do miss the fact a lot that I can't just walk across the street to get legal marijuana. This is so stupid.
I just need the episode of the Joe Rogan podcast where Elon Musk is smoking another joint, but now it's happening in Austin, Texas, and suddenly there's a raid.
I don't know what, but again, to me, this should federally be legal, and you can decriminalize it, or you should. Nobody should be put away. And then the fact that we're wasting taxpayer dollars to put Alex Caruso because he had a grinder. This is absurd. This is a waste of money. But here we are. It gave him street cred, though. Can we agree?
I mean, I love the LeBron tweet too.
Yeah.
The straight cash, homie. You love it.
Yeah.
Alex Caruso, come back here, buddy. You're a fucking hero in Los Angeles. You're the dunking bald Laker. You're the white dunking bald Laker. Bro, come smoke weed with me anytime.
Is he a free agent?
Somebody needs to so one of these LA weed companies needs to make the Alex Caruso. Needs to make like the Headband OG, which I think might even already be a fucking weed. But like I need to all in, like somebody needs to go all in on getting Caruso his own fucking strain.
He's a free agent.
Well, sign in California, dog.
Yeah.
I mean, LeBron's already tweeting straight cash on me, getting him out. He's not even technically his teammate. So you love to see it. If you're Alex Caruso, you're
like, you know what I'd love to see?
LeBron wants me back. I'm back.
Imagine, you know what I want to see is a podcast with Alex Caruso and former teammate who we know loves the weed, J.R. Smith.
Yeah.
That would be a good podcast. Alex Caruso and J.R. Smith.
I honestly, I think Alex Caruso, just on the street cred he has this alone, I think you should just do the Alex Caruso experience. Out here in California, smoking weed with celebs.
Yeah.
I mean, if we know one thing, it's that bald white men can have successful podcasts.
Well, the good thing is my hair is receding, so there's a chance. So you're saying there's a chance. By the way, I had to honor Britney today wearing my Britney Spears shirt. Have to just throw that out there since the Free Britney movement is in full force. And this is free already. What's that?
I didn't follow the whole thing. I mean, I saw some of the quotes from it and saw some of the claims she made and whatever, but like it's a wild story. Did you watch the documentary? Like,
no, I still haven't watched. I gotta watch it. It is a wild story.
It's just wild that it's even a thing. Like, what? Britney Spears. When Britney Spears gets released, I want her and Alex Caruso to be the next fucking celebrity couple. Have a podcast, smoke a bunch of weed.
The B&A podcast, or A and B.
Yeah.
I like it. Her Instagram's pretty wild, bro. She's definitely got some stuff going on up here, but
she's crazy for sure. But she's also a teen superstar who's been locked in her home for decades.
That's what I'm saying. Go beyond, like she's been, since she's 11.
We were locked in the house for a year. Everybody went crazy. She's
Britney's
been locked in the house for 14 years.
14 years. I mean, maybe that's as long as that. What's it called? Conservatorship.
Yeah.
Conservatorship. She's been a star since she's like 12, going back to Mickey Mouse Club. I don't know how you're not completely fucked up if you're a child star. Like,
I mean, most of them are.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I can't imagine that whole psychological process. It's got to just jack you up. Like if you become big at that age. I think about again, I was so stupid. I was so dumb. I'm still dumb, but like I was so dumb at like 15, 14. If you threw money my way, I'd be more of an idiot. Well, we do have some calls to get to today. But before we do that, we had some big NFL news this week, Joe.
Did we?
We did. Raiders defensive end.
I did not leave with this.
Carl Nassib has become the first openly gay NFL player.
Well, Michael Sam was the first openly gay NFL player, right?
On a roster.
On a roster.
Now, Michael Sam was obviously drafted. So he was on it. Yeah. So he was on a roster.
But Carl Nassib comes out as an active player. And honestly, I think that it's awesome. I think it's a great time to do it. And I also just think how I really, really liked and support and applaud like how he justified it, because I know there's a lot of assholes out there who are like, who cares, bro? Keep it to yourself. You know what I mean? But like what I thought was great was, his statement and saying, I'm doing this specifically because I feel like I feel like I need to, and also because I'm supporting this cause, which everybody should check out. The obviously suicide prevention for LGBTQ community, like all that, because he's absolutely right. It's like the people, like he's showing up and being the face of a community that has to hide, especially in situations like he's probably been in his whole life, a football locker room.
Yeah. And I agree. I think
there are safe spaces in the world now, and we're way more accepting than we've ever been. But football locker rooms, probably not so much. And other places like that, where he's saying, listen, I'm in a football locker room and it's tough as shit, but I'm going to do it. So if you're a guy who's in a firehouse, or if you're a guy who's in this place, or a girl who's in the cheerleading squad or whatever, like I'm here to be, a face of that for you. And I think it was awesome the way he did it. And, listen, we know there's probably a couple dozen, 50 NFL players. And that just goes to show you that it's hard, because single guy ever has done it.
I mean, that's the point I wanted to bring up. We haven't had a guy, an openly gay man on an active NFL roster, and it's 2021. That's crazy. Like if you really think about that, that's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. And I was curious to see what happened with his Instagram following, because I think this
went through the roof, didn't it?
But this goes to your point, what you just said. I basically piggybacks that. I took a screenshot like an hour after he came out, and it was at 22,000. I just looked. It's at 297,000. And I would argue most of those new followers probably weren't the biggest football fans. But my point is, it's good now that he's getting people who maybe aren't football fans, like you said, then to have that face to where a kid can look at him as a role model. If there's a gay kid in high school, middle school, whatever it is, college, the NFL. And I think that following shows that. And he is raising money for the Trevor Project, which is a good cause for suicide prevention. So I think this will lead hopefully to more people being open. And then eventually, I think the goal with all this stuff, right, Joe, is you get to the point where it doesn't really matter.
Right.
But obviously we're a long way from that. But like, look at other industries.
These things do absolutely have a snowball effect.
No, they do. But that's what I'm saying. Like, look at other industries. When somebody comes out as gay in the music or entertainment or comedy, like, you don't really think much of it, do you? Like, I don't. If somebody's like, hey, I'm gay, everyone's like, cool. But like football and baseball and basketball, it's a
sports in general.
It's a big deal because no one's doing it.
Yeah. And no one's doing it because they don't feel like it's a safe place to do it. And, it takes, it started with Michael Sam, Nassib. You've got, the guy that was on the Nets.
Collins.
Jason Collins. you got to start somewhere. You got to get the ball rolling, and those guys for sure did. But Nassib doing it while he's active and being like, I'm not worried about how this, well, first of all, I'm sure he is worried, but, saying, I am going to take whatever comes with this in my locker room, on the field, whatever. I think it's great.
And
again, I think immediately going to the Trevor Project and immediately going all that, not that you need to justify coming out during Pride Month and whatever, but just like going on to, and immediately having that as part of your thing, to me, I think just makes it that much more powerful. And it also immediately shuts the door on anybody who's like,
don't make it about you.
Don't
make it about you.
Why do you need to do this? This is just for press. This is just for whatever. It's like, well, no, he's actually doing it for a cause.
Sure.
In addition to coming out.
Yeah. And for people who watch Hard Knocks, and we watch it every year, you and I, and we break it down on this show, you should be familiar with Carl Nassib. He was one of my favorite guys on the Brown season. And to be honest,
compound interest.
Yeah, he was one of the most memorable, I would argue, in the last 4 or 5 years on, like, if you asked me certain players who aren't stars, he was one that stood out. I've always enjoyed that when he's explaining to the guys in the locker room about compound interest and investing their money. And obviously that turned into a meme that was so funny. And he's breaking it down on the dry erase board. Dude, he was great on that season. And he has a great story because he was a walk-on at Penn State. He didn't even have a scholarship. He became the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year from a walk-on to being drafted in the NFL to, being a starter / contributing player off and on his whole career. So he's had a good career, and, he comes from a good bloodline. His brother was the backup on your Giants for a minute, Ryan Nassib.
And also just staying with the, the gay stereotype of like, look at him. He's well dressed. He's worrying about compound interest. He's not gonna, he doesn't have to worry about like kids and all this stuff. Like this guy, he's just, he's every cosmopolitan gay man I know. It's like, yeah, I got a ton of money. I got a fucking, my apartment's beautiful. This guy's probably gonna have a well-decorated fucking Vegas pad stocked with stuff because of his compound interest investments. Couple small dogs.
What's interesting?
I'm the biggest. I'm getting a Carl Nassib jersey.
What's interesting to me about Carl Nassib is now he's come out as the first openly gay player on John Gruden's roster, and John Gruden loves talking about grinders, which I'm like, this could be an interesting. Does John Gruden know that one of his players is gay and that Grindr is a gay dating app? Does he know that when he's been saying?
Meanwhile, just Alex Caruso just hearing grinders, got his hands up. He's like, I'm not even in Texas anymore. I don't have a grinder. Stop it. I'm back in California where the oppressive government will let me have my grinder.
Lots of grinder discussions. But I think it's great. And I think that, it is interesting. The Raiders, like he plays for the Raiders.
You love it. You fucking love it.
So yeah, but you know what though? It was, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on this. I think it even shows how far everything has come. That it was news, but it wasn't, dude. Like Michael Sam news was insane. That was 2014. Like that was such big news. My point is, I think we've come as far along as accepting. Don't you agree? Like it was news for a good 24 hours, but it was like, cool, he's gay. Yeah. Because I think we've just become way more accepting as people. Do you agree with that?
Sure. Yeah.
So we'll see. They'll be a fun team to watch, man.
The Raiders?
Yeah.
The Raiders are always a fun team to watch.
I don't know. Did you see Vegas, what
baby?
Derek Carr said he didn't want to play for him. Like he's like, I'd retire if I wasn't playing for the Raiders.
Nah, I call bullshit.
Yeah, I call bullshit on that too.
He'd be out of he'd be traded, he'd retire. 3 days later, he'd be like, I've been staring at the cross on my arm. And God, I spoke to God. I heard God say, you know what? The Bears ain't so bad. Go to the Bears. And then I realized it was just Gruden yelling from two houses over. God was speaking to me.
So we have some calls. I'll get to a few calls quickly. 310-359-8365 is the hotline. Thanks for everybody who called. Also, thanks for all the updated podcast reviews. I have DM'd a lot of you guys on your Instagram and Twitter feeds. I'm sending out 2 beer koozies to anybody who drops a podcast review, as we always do, and those will be sent out this week. So if you want to update an old one, if you want some more koozies, or you haven't left a review before, or if you know somebody who's got an Apple phone because you don't have an iPhone, steal their phone, drop a review, leave your Twitter or Instagram handle, and I will reach out to you and get those koozies to you in the mail. Our first call today is from a throwback, old dirtball buddy of ours, McKay Parker, who got us those great seats during the Astros game.
Yeah, down in Houston, Texas.
So McKay messaged me and he said, can I leave a longer call if I make a donation to Joe's charities and promoting End Can? I said, of course. So he made a little donation.
That's awesome.
Charity that your friend is running. And I said, yeah, of course. A good cause. You can leave a long call.
Child abuse and neglect.
Yeah. End Can. So this is his call, leaving that donation. And then he's left a little longer call.
McKay, Houston, Texas. This summer, from the producers of Mac Never Paid His Debts and Prano 2020. From Academy Award-winning director Martin Scorsese. President Joe Prano, Vice President Bill Walton, and Secretary of Education Andy Ruther take on the biggest challenge yet, the homeless tent community of Venice Beach. Starring Justin Bieber as Andy Ruther, Tom Selleck as Joe Prano, Tug Coker as Bill Walton, Academy Award winner, playing the Foreign Affairs Associate, Maddie Goldberg.
Academy Award winner.
Jeong as the Wonder Yoshi, and Tom Arnold and Johnny Knoxville as leaders of the tent community. Soundtrack by the Wu-Tang Clan. I'll let you guys decide the title of the movie and some of the female roles. It was fun signing up for the NCAN run coming up, and the catering can be done by Miller Lite. That's the end of the shoot. Everybody wants to enjoy a great tasting Miller Lite. Stay dirty and have a great day.
What a call right there, Joe. What a call.
I love Tom Arnold and Johnny Knoxville as the head of the tent community. and Maddie Goldberg is the Academy Award winner. Maddie Goldberg, the head of Foreign Affairs.
Interesting choice.
Just got back from Sweden to see how they were handling the homeless community there. Listen, I know this isn't my jurisdiction because I'm the foreign thing, but have we thought about taking all of our homeless people on Venice Beach and having my sister buy them all houses?
You know what I love about it?
Yeah.
He's got Justin Bieber playing. Like, does he think I look like, dude, I'm almost 40.
By the way, I love that too. It's like you and I are 3 years apart, and he cast 2 people that are 40 years apart. He's like 23-year-old Justin Bieber will be playing Andy Ruther. 71-year-old Tom Selleck will be playing Joe Prano.
And Tug Coker is Bill Walton.
Yeah. You love it.
There's some drama going on there, huh? In Venice. They're trying to recall the local Venice councilman, Bonin.
I just was hanging out in Venice for the first time. I went to Hanano, had a Hanano burger the other day.
Nice.
I have had moments of missing Venice recently. And then I went to Venice and I was like, nah, not quite yet. I'm good. Hanano burger. There's just like a lady outside. It's like, I want a fucking burger. I'm like, yeah, okay. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Well, fucking burger while you're in there. I'll eat your face.
Crazy homeless person.
Yeah. And then also all of what, like, I'm a fan of the outdoor dining, but
sure. It's great.
All of Washington is covered. So it's like, I don't know where any of these people are parking.
Yeah.
Literally every parking spot on Washington is gone.
That's an interesting ship that's changed forever. Even out here, I was driving through, there's a good little seafood restaurant by me. And I drove the other day and I'm like, oh, they're still taking over that parking lot. Interesting. Like once you gave those spots up, they're not getting it back. You know what crushes me though? C&O is done forever, isn't it?
I have no idea, but it looked pretty done.
Man, that's a tough one for me. That was my favorite. I mean, it is, dude. That was my favorite restaurant in LA. I gave more money to that place, and I had some great times. That was like my spot I go to with my mom. Every time she visited, we'd go there at least once. I'd take family there. I'd take dates there. That was my spot, man. The garlic knots, they sing to you. That's amore. I mean, I know they have one down the street.
Yeah.
It's not the same. They are done.
It's the forever. C&O is basically the Venice Beach equivalent of like an Olive Garden, and that's so hard.
That's disrespectful, dude. Like I'm honestly offended by that. I'm a little offended by that. That's how many times did you eat there?
Like 3 or 4 times.
Dude, the food was great. The ambiance was great. Drew and I we used to always joke that we had dates there. That was our spot with him. And literally, now that I think about it, that was my spot with my mom. That was my spot with my gay best friend. That was my spot with girls. That was my spot with everybody. And the fact that you're comparing it to Olive Garden.
I said the Venice Beach equivalent of Olive Garden.
The disrespect, Joe.
They're like, welcome to C&O. When you're here, that's amore. You're like, wait a second. What is this?
I went there once with Walt. The first time my parents came to visit me, I took Walt and Joanne there. I said, let me get you dinner. And my dad goes, geez, you see what they're trying to charge? I'm like, Dad, we're in LA. It's not even that expensive. He's like, see what they're trying to charge for a pasta dish? I'm like, yeah, $25. That's normal.
Also, it's going to come in a vat. It's literally all you can eat, Walt.
Yeah. He was not having it. Okay. We got a good call here. We got some good calls today. I'm going to continue the good call train with CT, formerly from Seattle, another long-term dirtball. I'll be curious who you say on this one.
Gentlemen, CT, formerly from Seattle, lifelong Seattle Kraken fan. Listen to your Doc Rivers conversation. You know, I very much totally agree with Doc Rivers is one of the most chokingest coaches of all time in the playoffs. I'm wondering who's on the other side of that argument right now. I mean, you're always talking about it, presenting it like an argument, like you're arguing with some other mysterious side that thinks Doc Rivers is a good coach, but clearly he is not, in the postseason. If you really want a good Joey No-Chill rant, I believe there's an episode called, If You Think Doc Rivers is a Good Coach, Eat Suicide Cereal.
Yes.
Every time I watch Doc Rivers coach a game, I think about that saying, like, if you think Doc Rivers is a good coach, eat suicide cereal. But it got me thinking, who is the worst coach in any sport to win a championship? You got Mike McCarthy. That's a head scratcher. Granted, he had Aaron Rodgers. We got Chris Peterson. That's a real head scratcher. He had Carson Wentz? Get full shit. Doc Rivers obviously up there. I'd have to think of some baseball managers, maybe to win, that were not great. But I think those are probably top 3. So who's the coach that is the biggest head scratcher to have a championship? You're like, this guy won? That can't be right. CTL. Stay dirty.
I got one more NFL that can be thrown in that mix instantly. Gary Kubiak.
Well, so here's what I was going to say and I like that one, but here's what I was going to say is like, it's never really a head scratcher, right? It's like, we can point to why it happened, right? But like, I'll say this, and this is just off the top of my head. In my lifetime of watching sports, Doc Rivers is the worst coach to win an NBA championship. In my life in football, the ones that jump out to me are some of the ones he said. Peterson, McCarthy, Barry Switzer. And then obviously we have
I don't know enough about him, to be honest.
He just was a fucking,
they were just so loaded.
They were just so loaded. He came in, he got the Les Miles NFL championship where he took over for somebody, immediately won a championship with the same system. And then when it became his team, completely fell off and was fired a couple years later. McCarthy, Switzer, Kubiak's pretty good too. But just like Switzer, it's like, oh, he just took that team that Jimmy Johnson walked away from. Kubiak, okay, he had Peyton Manning and to absolutely run the offense. McCarthy had Aaron Rodgers. Like, we can justify it. And then honestly, in baseball, I didn't have a ton that jumped to the top of my head. There's probably worse managers who have won in baseball. It's a little easier to be, but like Dave Roberts is up there, dude. Dave Roberts with his Mickey Mouse half championship. But again, it's like, we know why he has the best players. He has the best payroll. He had 5 chances at it already. Like, those are my guys off the top of my head. I know nothing about hockey, but like off the top of my head, and like, honestly, in basketball, Ty Lue's probably the second closest. And I think at this point we've seen that Ty Lue's like a significantly better coach, but like in my lifetime, I can't think of anybody who touches Doc Rivers. And again, we know why, because he had a great team. He had 2 shots. He blew one. Like he had, he wasted he got 1 championship in however many years he had those guys in their prime. I don't even know who jumps like Rudy Tomjanovich. Like, I don't know.
I was just thinking of Rudy. Like, I don't know enough. Again, he's another one. He won
but
2.
Like you go back to in my basketball, in my lifetime, like, okay, sorry. Listen.
Oh, okay. Okay. Here's an interesting one.
And by the way, in my basketball lifetime, I'm thinking mid 80s. Like, even though I'm born in 79.
Yeah.
Like,
I was going to
Dr. Jack Ramsey as a coach, like
I was going to say someone before our time, because the reason I was going to say him is because he won the title and then didn't coach the next year. Paul Westhead won the 1979 Laker title.
Right. That's what I'm talking. That's kind of before. I don't know. I didn't watch enough 1979 Lakers basketball at 0 years old to tell you if he was a good or bad coach.
Because then he was replaced by Pat Riley.
Yeah. But like, if you go from there, like Pat Riley is winning.
No, I'm sorry. He was replaced. I'm looking. He wasn't actually replaced by Riley. He was replaced by Jack McKinney, and then it went to Riley.
Yeah. But like Mike Dunleavy Sr. gets the Lakers to a finals, but he doesn't win. But like,
actually, he was. I'm sorry. I'm reading all this wrong. He was replaced by Riley.
Yeah. But Riley is a great coach, obviously. But like, I'm trying to think, like, I don't even know guys who stand out in the NBA. Ty Lue, Doc Rivers. And Ty Lue's like, I have Doc Rivers below Ty Lue. Who else has really won that's like not a good coach?
Yeah.
Like Rudy Tomjanovich, like, okay. fucking Larry Brown. Like he got his one, but like I think Larry Brown was a good coach.
Yeah, he was a good coach, dude. He's the only guy who would win it in college and the NBA.
Right.
Come on.
I'm just thinking like, but if you're in the NBA, the guys who won, like honestly, you know who's probably high on the list for me? You know who might be third or fourth behind Rudy? It's Kerr. Like Kerr, like you go back to my entire childhood. You go back to mid 80s basketball for me. There's not a lot of coaches who won the NBA. You got Riley, you got Spoelstra, you got Popovich, you got Carlisle, you got Larry Brown, you got, like you're running out of names pretty quickly.
Yeah.
In the NFL, another one, like, I'm going McCarthy, Switzer. Yeah, Kubiak. Honestly, and you go.
I'm starting to think NFL. I'm starting to go through
and
different
that's like
teams.
if you go to fourth on the list for me, it's like I'm a Mike Tomlin is overrated guy. But he's not on the level of fucking Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy's probably the worst coach to win a Super Bowl in my lifetime. As in my lifetime as a fan. My fan lifetime.
Yeah.
I don't again, everything for me is like 85, 86 and on,
Sure.
And I'm like.
Yeah. And mine's probably like 88 on. All right. We have time for one more call. Let's see if you remember this. I remember this. This is too funny to me. This is great that a DirtBall discovered this.
This is Peter here at Michigan DirtBall, and I'm listening to last Thursday's episode where you guys joke about Pitcher's Mountains being meth labs, and I just wanted to talk about. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the story of Oil Can Boyd, but he once bought. Just look up the story about the time his hat fell off and he had crack under the band of his hat, and it fell all over the pitcher's mound. Just thought that was a funny story that kind of, stay dirty.
He definitely enjoys the legal weed in there, up there in Michigan. Dude, this is an all-time. Do you remember this?
I don't.
So for the younger guys, I remember.
I remember Oil Can Boyd.
So Oil Can Boyd, he had played 10 seasons. 8 of them were with the Red Sox. So Oil Can Boyd, his name's Dennis Oil Can Boyd. And he claims, I'm reading an article now from ESPN dated May 1st, 2012. Oil Can Boyd claims that he used crack cocaine every day of the 1986 season with the Red Sox. Including,
I have heard that I had somebody who was a clubby in the Yankees locker room who told me that that Tim Raines said he slid head first to not break crack vials in his back pocket.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think people realize now, like we're talking about Major League Baseball and substance. Like I don't think people realize how big a problem the cocaine and the crack and the drugs. And we've already heard stories like Darryl Strawberry was banging women mid-game in Mets clubhouse. Like this shit is, dude, the 80s. Can we just talk about how wild the 80s was?
Yeah.
Just in America. 80s was wild. People were out of control. Listen to this story. So he claims he smoked crack cocaine every single day of the 86 season. And as a reminder to everybody, that's the infamous Mets Red Sox World Series. The Red Sox made it to the World Series, and Oil Can Boyd was a good pitcher. So in an interview, he says one day in Oakland, he smoked in the clubhouse before one of his starts. And then he had the drugs tucked under his cap while on the mound. So he goes on to explain how he would do this, and he would come into the ballpark, and the minority owner, Arthur Pappas, would straight up always ask him, like, how do you feel? Did you do any drugs last night? And he said, I was always honest. And I'd say, yeah. And so they would never give me a drug test. They would go around it, or somebody else would like, it's not like how it is now. Somebody else would pee.
Yeah.
And so according to this story, on May 11th, 1986 in Oakland, he smoked crack before taking the mound. And he says, I get to the ballpark, all the players are in the field, talking batting practice and everything. And I walk in the clubhouse and I got my pipe with me. I can remember going and locking myself up in the bathroom and smoking some dope right there at the ballpark. I was afraid that they would know, and the clubhouse manager had smelled it. He was going to tell on me. So I got rid of it. I had it under the bib of my cap, inside the crease, inside of the cap. And when I was warming up the ball game, third or fourth inning, it fell off my head. And I guess when it fell off, he noticed there was there's some crack on the field. So he said, I forgot
Jay
that I had
Williams was like, what? This isn't my hat. Why is somebody else's hat on me? This must be somebody else's crack hat.
So he goes on.
I was in the locker room and I wasn't looking, and somebody put their crack hat in my locker and took my not crack hat and put it in their locker. And now I'm just on the field with a crack hat on. They're like, Jay Williams, do you think anybody believes this? He's like, why wouldn't people believe this? Somebody stole my hat and gave me a crack hat. It's very believable.
So he says, I forgot that there was dope under my hat. And I guess he had a violent pitching style and his hat falls off, right? So my hat falls off and I look onto the ground and I'm like, damn, there's little rocks everywhere, man. So I play it off as I'm walking back from the mound. I pick up dirt when I was really picking up crack and smashing it into the ground. Dude, this is nuts. Mid-game, he's got crack underneath his helmet, flies off. He's picking up, acting like the pitchers when they pick up dirt. And no, he's trying to break up the crack rocks and kind of spread them over the field. Legend.
Old oil can. You don't get a nickname like oil can.
And for the record, in 1986, when he claimed he smoked crack before every game, that was his career high with 16 wins and a 3.78 ERA.
Yeah.
Legend. I love it. Great call. Thank you for that. I enjoyed reading that. I enjoyed telling that awesome story. 310-359-8365 is the hotline. So drop us a call and we'll play it. So we have other calls we'll get to next week. And I appreciate everybody's calls.
Yeah.
Joe, you performing anywhere people can see you?
I am. If you're listening to this today and you're in California, I am at the West Side Comedy Theater tonight. Tomorrow, I'm at Bar Lubitsch in LA. Today is Thursday, the 24th, and tomorrow's Friday, the 25th. And then trying to think if I have. Oh, well, that's it. That's my week upcoming here. But also, all of my shows are on my website at joeprano.com. I'm always updating it. So we're doing a Andy Laz Backyard Show again, 11/11 show on July 10th. But just go to joeprano.com or follow me on Instagram. That's the easiest thing. I post all my shows there. People post them. I repost them. So just follow me on Instagram. Shout out to our boy Kyle Aronofsky, #1 New Jersey Dirtball, who I noticed the other day followed me on like 7 burners. So shout out to Kyle, always there for me when I ask for something. And follow me on all other social media at Joe Prano, except for Twitter. I'm at Fix Your Life.
Cool. You can follow us on all social at The Dirty Sports and myself at Andy Ruther, and get those podcast reviews. And like I said, I like sending out koozies. And to be honest, I like seeing where you guys live. I don't know if I just like seeing, it's cool. Oh, I sent koozies this week to West Virginia and South Carolina and California and Arizona. It's cool seeing you guys are spread out all over the country and world. I will say my foreign guys, like, it's kind of pricey to send 2 koozies to Canada. Like, am I a dick for that, Joe?
I don't know. Maybe we could send it all to like, maybe you could just like, keep track and make a pile of Canadian dirt balls, send it all to one and have them forward it to the others or something. I'll send
it to Earl's Wine Bar.
Yeah, send to Earl's Wine Bar. You can pick it up. And also shout out to McKay for signing up for NCAN and making a donation. And once again, you can do all that at ncan.org. I know Andy said he likes seeing where all you guys live. If you live in Colorado or Ohio or Texas or California, sign up for a walk. Sign up for a walk.
Cool. Well, that's the show. Thank you for listening, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll be back in a